Okay. So I'm Denis Papathanasiou. I'm here to talk about WidgetPay. Just before I get started, can everybody hear me all right? Yeah. Okay. I do have a tendency to lower my voice as I go on, so if I do that, just shout and I'll speak up a bit. Also, I want to find out, does anybody right now sell anything through their blog currently? So show of hands? Okay. How about who here would like to sell something in the future? Okay. So for anyone who raised their hands for either question, what kinds of things are you selling or would you like to sell?
We sell t-shirts, we sell audio tracks as well. Those are the biggest things.
Okay, just shout them out.
Download, like a download file.
Okay.
Ebooks.
Oh, ebooks, great.
Service.
Okay. Oh, so your own practice, the hours somebody can just go to. Okay. So the demo I'm going to do here is I'll sell a newsletter through my own site, through my personal site. So this is my this is my blog. Unfortunately, it's dominated by it's bad resolution, but this is my personal site hosted on WordPress. It's a very tech-oriented blog. I read a lot of articles about programming, web programming, how to do this, how to do that. So I use WidgetPay to collect donations. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen this in different forms on different sites. So what happens is, if you click that, okay, and the Wi-Fi cooperates, you come to a credit card form. Now, the background, the color, the logo, this is all controlled by me. The only evidence other than the URL that this is WidgetPay at all is at the bottom of the page, and I can't get this to scroll, I'm sorry. But at the bottom of the page is a very tiny Powered by WidgetPay link. The critical thing about this is I've set a minimum amount that people can donate at $2, so it's right here. But people can go more, can go higher. So for example, let's say somebody really loves my stuff, they can come in and say, you know what, I really like this blog, I like these articles, I'll do $50. And then the person who fills this out using any of these cards, so we do all the major cards, Amex, MasterCard, Visa, even JCB and Discover. If they were to fill this out and submit the form, then I would get paid immediately. I also get an email immediately telling me that, so I know the only thing I know about them is the person's name and their address, just paid you $50. Now, so that's nice, but let's say I have some more ambitions with my blog. Right now I write about an article a month, but let's say I wanted to do a newsletter on a subscription basis. So let's say I'll write an article a week, and for people who are willing to pay me money, I'll send it to you by email in advance before it hits the blog, or even as an email exclusive. It won't appear on the blog ever. So to do that, I can go to my WidgetPay account. Oh, and by the way, this is the thing that's up there now. I have one widget. It's my account. And I can do a couple different things with it. I can see who's paid me so far. I can change anything about it, the color, the size, the description. I could even turn it off. Let's say I'm tired of donations, they're not working for whatever reason, I can deactivate it and the button disappears. But for my subscription idea, for my newsletter idea, I'm not sure if that's loading. Okay, there we go. So to make a new widget, I have to do 4 things. I have to describe what I'm selling. I define how it's going to look on my blog. And then I'll set up what the form looks like when people go to check out. And then finally, I decide what happens when people pay me. I have a couple of different things I can do there. So I'm going to run through that very quickly, and then actually put it live on my blog now so you can see how that works. So let's say it's just a newsletter, and I don't know, I'll charge people $20 a month. This option, which I'm going to leave off, is if I were taking donations. If I check that, then whatever number comes here is a minimum, just like I showed with the donate. So if I check it off, then people can go higher than 20 if they want. But for something like this, I'll leave that off. We'll keep it as a flat fee. And then to do subscriptions, to do it automatically every month for everybody who pays, all I have to do is this. Now, since it's not a physical good, I won't bother with shipping and handling. I could if I were selling something that had to be shipped. I'm also not going to charge sales tax, although I could. There's options for that. It's more of an accounting question, and we leave it open. The default is to not charge sales tax. So then, since it's a subscription, I'll change this to that. I'll just play with this. I do get carried away with this kind of stuff, so I'll try to keep this brief. So that looks kind of okay. Just something big that will stand out on my blog. Now here, this is where, if somebody does click that subscribe button, they get taken to the credit card form. By default, the logo that we use at the top is our logo. But we know people don't like that, so there's an option to change it. And I'll just switch to, I have this newsletter icon that I found that I'll use for this. So they'll see this. They'll see sign up for our newsletter, and there's a bit of a slogan here. The default is, again, powered by WidgetPay, but I'll do something like get great tips, something to excite people about actually paying me. And then the background too, you've got choices. You can pick colors, or you can even have a background image. If you have a gradient image that you think that matches your site, or an image that you'd like to tile, like it's a logo, you can use that. But I'll keep this plain, just plain white. And then here, this is at the end. So this is what happens. Let's say I have a subscribe up. My newsletter becomes famous. People want to pay $20 a month for it. And now, and they fill out the credit card form, they pay me. This defines what happens after payment. So the default is they just get a simple message, thank you. But if I wanted to, I could put them on a landing page somewhere on my site for new subscribers. Just for the sake of the demo, to keep this brief, I'm just going to stick to the basic thank you. And then this checkbox, it's optional, but it's nice to have. It's the minute you get paid, you get an email saying that you got paid, and the only information you know is the person's name and email address. Okay, so that finishes, and here I have the second one. So it's still not on my blog yet, right? So what I have to do is I go here, and I have a bit of code that I put through in the dashboard. I'll show you how to do that. Unfortunately, the screen doesn't show. There's also a direct link underneath. So let's say if you're using Twitter, if you have a mailing list of people, you just want to send them an email, you can send them a direct link. They don't have to come through your blog. So you can go either way through this. And the link itself can be put through a URL shortener. You can use bit.ly, you can isg.gd, any of those, so it'll fit in Twitter, or it'll just make it brief on when you send it an email to somebody. All right, so what I have to do now is I copy this. And then in my WordPress dashboard, I go down to Appearance. And then I go to Widgets. And you know what, for this, so there is, oh, here we go, perfect. I thought the scrolling was going to kill us. So there is something called, there's a text widget, which is arbitrary text for HTML. That's what the code is. It's a bit of JavaScript that gets embedded as HTML. So I'm going to put it in my sidebar, but it doesn't have to go there. It could go on a dedicated page. It could go anywhere that you can put HTML code. So I just drag this to my sidebar for this demo. I'll put it right at the top, or there at the bottom. That's okay too. Title, I can, this is optional. I can just say get newsletter, and then paste all that stuff here. And I can, oh, there we go. And I save this. So if I did it correctly, and if I reload this page, this is back on my blog now. Sorry, folks, this was supposed to go at the top. Here we go, and there it is. So, and then you can play with the title, the position, you can give some context. So now when people go, when they click that, there's my credit card form. So it's the logo I picked. It's the background color happened to be white to match the logo that I picked. But otherwise, and people, it's a way to make it look just like your site. So you have options to change that. This time, because I didn't pick as a minimum amount, it is $20, it's a flat fee. If I had checked off that box I showed you earlier, it would have been just like donate. It would have been 20 would be the minimum, and you could add more. And just like before, somebody comes along with one of these cards, they pay, assuming their card is valid, and there's funds in their account, and I get a message. So that's the kind of the quick and dirty demo. There's other stuff as well. And I don't want to talk too long before pizza because I know that people are hungry, but I'm happy to take questions. So.
What's your compensation?
Oh, good question. So for single items, it's effectively the same as PayPal. But the real difference is in subscriptions. If you do a subscription like this is much cheaper because PayPal charges you a minimum of $20 per month on top of their transaction fee. Now, so WidgetPay it's two things. There's a per transaction similar to PayPal. There's also a usage fee that we charge. And it's based on the number of transactions you do. It's in the How It Works page. And it's not going to, oh, here we go. Just either visit this or come see me and I can show it. It's just a scrolling issue. But so if you do less than 10 or fewer transactions a month, you don't pay WidgetPay anything other than the per transaction. If you go from 11 to 50, then it's $20 a month for us, and with the same per transaction. There's a scale there. But even with that, even with this extra fee, it's still cheaper. I'm not talking about subscriptions now specifically. It's still cheaper to do this than to go PayPal or use PayPal and say Chargeify or Recurly, because there are third parties that will do subscriptions for you, but they also charge you monthly fees. This is all in one box, and it's less. If you're just doing single items, though, purely from a cost basis, it's a wash with PayPal. Although I would argue there are other reasons why you'd use this instead of PayPal.
Now, do you get the end users' information, your subscribers' information, name, email, things like that? Like how?
Okay, so we don't store any credit card data at all. We have no idea what
Right.
card numbers, all that. But in the sales report here.
So there's like a recording aspect of it. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Right. I'm not going to put this up on screen, so there is a track sales offer. I don't want to show it for the camera and make it public to the interweb, the internet in general, but if you come up later, I can show you. So basically, I know that on this date, at this time, this person at this email address paid me.
Right.
But that's all I know about them. I don't know what card these, I don't know their number, anything like that.
Right. So that allows you to create a mailing list from your.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
What if the buyer asks for a refund? So how would that be programmed into the site?
Okay, so this is all built on top of something called the Stripe API. Let's see. So I had a slide for it, but it's not coming up. So okay, I can try this. I just want to bring up the right slide. The answer is there is a way to do that, though. So Stripe it's a pure payments API that you need to write code against. But they do have, when you create a merchant account with them, there is an interface to say, here are all the fees I've collected, and I need to refund somebody, and it's just one button to do that.
On the subscription service, how difficult is it for both the buyer as well as you as the web managers to, let's say, unsubscribe or cancel a subscription?
Well, so they have to tell you one way or another. They have to email you, use your contact form, whatever. They have to tell you that I don't want it anymore. And then within Stripe, you would say, okay, this person's not subscribing anymore.
But it's pretty simple. Is it like enable, disable kind of thing?
Yes, it's so within your customers, there's a recurring list. So your customers in general, and then there's a recurring list. And you go in there and say, okay, this guy's not, I'm not charging him anymore.
What you're saying is not a fully automated process, like you get informed enough by wants to unsubscribe, and then you have to go in to your control panel?
Well, sure. I mean, your customer, 3 months later, he seems happy, and then the 4th month he doesn't want it. He's got to tell you somehow. You can't magically divine that. Now, okay, so but there is one difference. If their card goes bad for some reason, let's say it goes past the date or something like that, you'll get an email from our system saying this subscriber has to change his credit card. But other than that, if they're unhappy and they want to stop, they have to tell you. There's really no other mechanism for that.
I'm making my site for a nonprofit. Do you have as a different price for 501c3s?
Oh, so
I have 2 questions.
Okay,
That, and then I also have a question of whether whether can you set different buttons for different donation prices?
The answer to the second question is yes. You can make as many widgets as you want. So I've got 2 now, but I can add, there's no limit on those. I could have different levels, different tiers for different things, right? Some can be pure donations, some could be buy our t-shirt, some can be buy a ticket to this event where we're fundraising. You can have as many of those as you need. The first question is, so there are 2 sets of fees. There's the WidgetPay fees and there's Stripe fees. The Stripe fees are per transaction. We have no control over that, so you still have to pay those regardless. For us, though, nonprofits don't pay regardless of the scale. So the scale I showed you earlier about doing so many per month, we won't charge you that fee. But for each charge, you're still responsible for the small amount and 30 cents.
Okay. All right.
Can you talk to us about the security and also what Stripe is?
Okay, so Stripe this is the only diagram I have of Stripe. Stripe is a private company. It's well backed. In fact, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, the guys who founded PayPal, have invested in it. It's, I believe it's about a year old, and they're currently in beta. We use stripe.com. It's pure API, so it's designed for developers. So, by the way, there was a question earlier about do you have an API for developers? If you know how to write code or you're comfortable with hiring someone for this, you don't need us because you could just go to Stripe and use it directly. That's what it was designed for. They know about us and they're happy with us doing this as just another channel for them. Stripe's in beta, so that's one disadvantage about using this combined service is that you need an invite, which is not a real disadvantage because we have them. So anybody here today, if you're interested, just let me know, either through the contact form, talk to me later. I'll give you my email address as well, and we'll get you an invite so you can set up the merchant account. The other big disadvantage, so that you don't think this is all unicorns and wine and unicorns or whatever, you need to be a US resident. Now, I don't think that's a problem here, but we have gotten inquiries from people in other countries, and so I just mentioned that in passing. So if you can't state a resident address, you can't apply for a merchant account. Right now in beta, Stripe takes 60 days to pay, which is it's a lot. It's painful. But they have said that for anyone who finds out about Stripe through this meetup, either because you were here at the meeting or you found the link through the site or you emailed me one way or another through or even found the link through WPCNY.org, they'll cut it to 30 days. But when they get out of beta, when they finally launch, they're going to cut that number significantly. They want to be competitive with PayPal in terms of time. So they haven't been specific on that, unfortunately, but our expectation is that once they get out of beta, which should be fairly soon, the waiting time for it to hit your bank account will be small. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, so we're a software company. We have other services that we charge for. We use Stripe exclusively. So we use WidgetPay and Stripe. We eat our own dog food, as the cliche goes. Okay.
I know this is about alternatives to PayPal, but if someone wants to pay by PayPal, how do they deal with you?
They don't. I mean, you can pay with American Express, MasterCard, Visa, and JCB Discover, major cards. We just don't. I mean, PayPal is in many ways a competitor both to us and to Stripe collectively, so we don't see the need to help them one way or the other.
Before you said something about there are a bunch of different reasons why you think this is better than PayPal. Could you name a few?
Well, I don't know if you've had any programmatic experience using it. Oh, one feature I forgot to mention. Thank you for reminding me. So there are things you can do with promotion codes. So let's say, for example, I start my newsletter and there's some influential bloggers I really want to have reading this newsletter. And I don't want them to pay full price. So let's say I set up a promotion code, and I've got some different options here. They can get 50% off, 80% off, whatever, some percentage. With this system, all I have to do is define the code, how much off it is, whether it's limited by date. I can say, this discount is only good for a week, a month, a day, whatever it is. Type it in, and it exists. It's already there. PayPal, anecdotally, and this is not my personal experience with them, because but we have clients who use this who used to use PayPal. Doing promotion codes in PayPal is really difficult. Even with a developer in some cases, especially if it's just a standard account and you're just cutting and pasting HTML. It's not intuitive. You know, that's just one anecdote. I mean, there might be other reasons. Okay, so I know it's a bad policy to talk with pizza on the way, and I guess that's why there are no more questions, but I will be here throughout, so please come talk to me. Oh, I'll just leave up my contact information. So you can use the contact form at the site, you can email me directly, or talk to me here while I'm here. Oh, go ahead.
What if they have JavaScript disabled?
Then they're SOL, basically. Well, so then, then that's where the direct link comes in. It didn't scroll properly, but so for every widget you create, in addition to the widget code, there's just a link you can give people to say, hey, if you want to buy this or if you want to donate, just click, go here. And it takes you to the same credit card form. So that's useful on Twitter, for example. If you're on Twitter, you don't have room to stick in this big widget, you just give a link, which you can shorten, and then people will go straight to the pay form. But, Chrome has JavaScript on by default. You can't turn it off. I suppose there are people out there surfing without it. Yeah. I know a lot of sites break without it, period. So I can't imagine in 2011 people are surfing without JavaScript these days. I mean,
it's possible, but right, you can do it in sharing this out there, Facebook Live, any of that stuff.
Programs.
Well, again, that's what the link is for. If you need direct access, you can just go to this URL.
But you could write that in a no script tag.
Sure.
And it's there. Sure. So if JavaScript's unable, you have a link to a script.
Exactly.
So do you have to have a secure server on your site, or does the site have to have a secure server to be able to use a widget?
Great question, and no, you don't, because whether you use the widget or the link, you get redirected to our site.
Oh, okay.
Even though it looks like yours now, so savvy users will realize this is at widgetpay.me, your account,
Oh, okay.
but that's secure. So then you can still run without a certificate. You could run plain HTTP. Okay. Well, I don't want to keep people, so thanks very much for your attention, and please come talk to me if you're interested.